Big show on today's DNVR Broncos podcast. We are talking about Bo Nix having a minor procedure holding him back from the Pro Bowl this year. Plus, we are hearing from our draft expert, Fran Duffy, getting the insight on Bo Nix, where he would have been in this coming draft. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, and we're getting the insight from the Shrine Bowl, and it all starts now. Pro Bowl Bo, but he nixed it. Bo said no to the Pro Bowl, and we're going to break it down on today's DNVR Broncos podcast. We are live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. We are presented by Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. To my left, I've got Super Bowl 50 champ Todd Davis. To my right, I got Henry Chisholm. Behind the camera, we got you here, and intern doing awesome work, Dion Smith, with us, and yours truly, Zach Stevens, rocking and rolling with you today. Shout out to the Toyota chat. We've got Adrio, who says, this is my first time I get to watch live. Well, super pumped that you get to watch with us live. Fellas, how we doing today?
Feeling good. I really want to get into why Bo Nix isn't going.
I want to get into those shoes.
He's having a little procedure. Oh, yeah?
Those are nice.
Well, so
Yeah.
let's dive into a little conspiracy theory that I'm putting together. So yesterday, the Broncos move on from their inside linebackers coach.
Yes.
Kind of came out of nowhere. This move is, Broncos continue to make moves on their coaching staff. Who knows when it's going to end? Who knows when they're going to start hiring? And then today, I come in and I see a former Broncos linebacker who has coached for the Broncos, who's wearing orange and blue shoes.
Yeah.
He's got a Broncos nice full zip on, and he's got a Broncos hat on. So I'm like, Todd, have you got the call? Are you leaving us?
No, I'm not foreshadowing right now, guys. I'm not as smooth as Sean Payton to wear an orange tie and let everybody know.
Wow.
No, I just was like, what I'm saying? Let's just throw on some Broncos gear today. I'm feeling good. My boy Dion had on some pink elephants yesterday, some foams. And I was like, I'm going to wear some foams. I was like, let me just throw some foams on. Why not?
If you would have told me you were wearing Pete Elephants and I had...
Pink elephant.
Oh, pink elephants, not Pete Elephant.
Who's Pete Elephant?
I would have had no idea what that is.
No, you wouldn't
But since
have.
we're talking about your
Yeah.
shoes, now I know it's a shoe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, pink elephant?
It's a foam. It's just a colorway of foam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not a shoe.
Oh, it's not the
Yeah.
name of the shoe.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
colorway means color.
Yes. Colors, yeah.
So then why not
Yes.
just say color?
Because the colorway. It's not just one color.
It's like
Oh,
the,
it's
it's
like
a
pink at the bottom,
combination.
it's
Yeah.
gray, and it has like
Oh,
that.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. See, this is why I keep you guys around. You keep me hip.
We got
No,
you.
it is important.
Keep you
Now you
hip.
can
We keep
share
you
that
hip.
knowledge with others. My first thought when I saw Greg Minuski's gone is Todd. It's like, I'm not sure if this is Todd being linebackers coach or if all of a sudden Todd's assisted linebackers coach. And I had like an hour. I was like, I hope that isn't the case. And then I came around and was like, you know what? Good for Todd. If Todd is coaching for the Broncos, everybody wins. Similar to Bobby Houck, Montana's coach. If he was the Broncos or special teams coordinator, I'd be happy for him. I think it would make a lot of sense for everybody.
Is there some speculation there?
Only by me.
Only by you. Okay. I was like, I haven't heard this, Henry. You breaking some news?
No. I mean, he's always a special teams guy. Back in the 90s, he was the Buff special teams coordinator. But then just as head coach at Montana, where they've had incredible special teams forever. Now Junior Bergen has like the all-time record. Mark Mariani, former Pro Bowl returner in the NFL. Grizzly. I think it would make a lot of sense. But that's nobody. There's like 10 people who care. Shout out Tim.
10 or Tim?
Might just be Tim today.
Yeah, might just be Tim. So speaking of that news, let's just your initial reaction to the Broncos parting ways with their inside linebackers coach Greg Minuski.
I was surprised. I thought that he did a great job with the linebackers, and I thought that he had a lot of respect from the guys in that room. I think anytime you've coached for that long and also played in the NFL. Like you garner a lot of respect just walking in the door, but he knows his stuff. He's a smart coach. So I was surprised to see him go. I know that he and Joe Vick kind of work together hand in hand. And no, it just felt like it was a good fit. So I'm not sure what the reason was for it, but if my phone rings and I have to step out,
we'll know what it is.
We'll let you take the call from Vance or Sean or George or Greg Penner, who knows who it's from.
You gotta at least get an interview. That's my official stance. Todd deserves an interview.
Well, would you want an interview?
Hell yeah, why not? Who would turn that down?
Well, we gotta, we might have to clip this, put it out there, get some momentum behind it.
Yeah, give me an interview, guys.
Boom, there we go. Do you want your pitch? Your elevator pitch.
Oh wow.
My elevator pitch, why I'd be good for the job?
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, I've been in the building. I know everybody from the GM to the guy that cleans the floors. Like, I've played for Vance Joseph. I understand his defense inside and out. I know what it feels like to be a front of the roster guy where you're making good money, you're the starter. I also know how to communicate and talk to the back of the roster guy where I need you to dominate on special teams, but also understand your job, because if you ever get an opportunity to play, you have to be able to execute. I know how to communicate the X's and the O's and also talk to players on a real level because I was a player. I have a great understanding for the game. Like I said, I know Vance Joseph's defense. I was just in training camp with them at the beginning of the year. I know all the plays. I know the executions. I know the checks. I know the calls. Whatever you need, I got you.
You know the players.
Yeah.
Too good of a pitch. We're not putting it out there.
I wasn't even gonna get started.
I don't want to lose Todd.
Yeah, no, you really did get into a rhythm there.
I wasn't gonna go there.
It was a really good.
Once he turned me up, I was like, I gotta do it.
Yeah, I mean, Todd, I don't disagree. And crazy enough, when I put that news out there that the Broncos have moved on from him, more comments than not were about you. We're about,
crazy.
is Todd's phone ringing?
Yeah.
Are you guys going to lose him? I don't want to lose him on the show. Good for Todd. It's like, wait, mixed feelings here. But hey, I mean, you were in the building 5 months ago helping that team get ready to surprise the world and helping that defense get ready to shock the world. So kind of crazy news, and maybe it'll be even crazier if something happens with our set, which would be very sad. But so yeah, surprising inside the building. I want to say that it was pretty surprising as well. Sean isn't messing around. If your unit doesn't perform exactly how he expects, he's not afraid to move on from you. Broncos had a top 10 special teams unit. Obviously, there was Mike Westhoff left, but they move on from their special teams coordinator. Alex Singleton, the star at inside linebacker, was hurt in week 3 for the Broncos. Then you have to work with some backups. I thought, honestly, Justin Sternad, Cody Barton, I thought they did a good job for the type of player. I mean, it was a backup, and it was a guy that was making, $3 million last year. I thought they did pretty good, but wasn't up to Sean's standards. He wants a very high standard, and he's making it clear with the moves he's making.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that happens. You just kind of turn over the parts that you don't like as much, find new things. Might already have an idea for who it could be. Might just be,
Might just be Todd.
We want somebody else. Yeah, it might just be Todd. Yeah. No, I'm firmly in the Todd deserves an interview camp.
I'm going to go a step further. Todd just deserves a job. Did you hear his pitch?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a great pitch. It was a great pitch.
One other piece of news yesterday, the Pro Bowl roster was officially set, meaning they take all the injured guys, throw them out. They take all the guys that are going to the Super Bowl, throw them out, then replace them with the alternates.
Yeah.
We know from Monday, Quinn Meinerz, first alternate, he turned it down. He said, I don't want to be looked at as a replacement. I want to earn that spot. We all kind of thought or at least Todd and I thought you probably just should have taken it to have the Pro Bowl next to your name. It's going to help your Hall of Fame resume one day when it comes down to it. Yesterday, a couple of quarterbacks aren't able to go. Bo Nix gets the call, and he turns it down because he has a procedure, a previously planned minor and routine procedure scheduled, and he did not want to put that off even a week so that he can be as ready as possible to train for the season. So, in a couple of weeks, be ready to train, then be fully ready for OTAs. What do you think of that? Do you feel the same way that we did about Quinn Meinerz, or is that a little different?
No, that's different. That's trying to be prepared to have your best sophomore season that you can have. I mean, he had a good year, but he's still a rookie. He's still young. I think he's going to have a lot more Pro Bowl opportunities. And if it's deciding between, getting that Pro Bowl beside your name in year 1, or do you get healthy so that you can be your best in year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you take, whatever measures are necessary to get the operation, get healthy, because, they have a team that's building something right now. For him to not be his best to start the season, even because he took a week to go hang out in Orlando, it's not worth it.
Yeah. And I'm mostly just curious what the procedure is. Because again, everybody has procedures. It is what it is. But I'm curious what else he was dealing with.
What if it's a filling?
Wow.
He's just getting a tooth filled.
I guess that'd be a good thing, right? Like, I guess then nothing serious happened.
Well, I was told routine, minor, previously scheduled. I mean,
whenever they start using all those adjectives, it feels like something's going on.
Like it's actually something bigger.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like routine for them is different than routine for me.
Yeah, it's
like,
true.
oh, we just gotta go check your knee out. Like,
true.
I haven't been to the doctor in like 4 years, and now all of a sudden I'm getting my knee cut open. That's big for me.
They're just doing back surgery. I mean, it's mine.
The thing is, the back
it's not necessarily back surgery.
The thing is, the back doesn't need surgery.
Sometimes it does.
I don't think that's true.
What?
My dad had back surgery.
Oh, yeah. But like not for that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like the thing he had.
I'm just joking around.
I know. I get a little defensive. But on Reddit, somebody was saying like, yeah, I actually, he was a back surgeon, and said like when Bo had that whole thing happen, it's like, yeah, we won't even listen to you in the clinic because there's nothing we can do. So it's not related to the back.
No, I wouldn't think so.
So I'm curious.
Minor and
you never
routine.
had any minor routine surgeries, did you, Todd?
No, I was supposed to have some surgeries, but like it was like contract year, 2 years in a row. Like I was supposed to have both my shoulders done. I'm just like, nah, I gotta play.
Yeah.
I can't take the time to be out and potentially like come back not strong or rusty. I was like, I'm just gonna play. And then every year, I always felt like I had to play, so I just never got my shoulders fixed.
After? Did you get them?
Nope.
So you just have two?
Just healed. I have two miracle shoulders.
Wow.
So,
Wow, that is impressive.
Yeah.
Another pitch. He's never gonna miss a day of work.
No, never does.
Exactly.
What if he's just like donating his kidney to like somebody in need?
Maybe
That'd be
not
nice.
someone but your starting quarterback.
But he's just such a good guy.
That's not minor or routine.
Yeah.
Isn't
Taking something out of your
Well,
body.
but I mean, it isn't like emergency or like you gotta like we need to repair your ACL.
No, I think when you do like a kidney transplant, that is emergency. I think they call you. You like are set up as like a donor, and they call you and say like,
Oh,
we
really?
got a set right now. Like, can you
Interesting.
come tonight? Yeah.
I just feel like if I said like, hey guys,
You just
a
wanna give
month
your
from now
kidney away?
I got a day open, take my kidney, give it to somebody who needs it.
No, because they have to then go
No.
put it like in that
Okay.
person right away.
So okay.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
When I think of like routine stuff in the league, I think of like a scope where they go inside your knee and maybe like scrape off some damaged tissue, and then you can walk same day or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is, but I feel like it might be something in that realm.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I would think too, and I agree. I do think this is different than Quinn saying no, because especially a young guy that is very much at a good season, you don't want to delay your recovery, even if it is just a week. You don't want to delay that, especially just how it looks to your coaches, to your teammates. So I think it's very commendable. He's clearly putting his team in front of him right now because, like we said with Quinn, if you deny that Pro Bowl invite, you don't get the Pro Bowl next to your name. So Quinn Miners, 0-time Pro Bowler. Bo Nix, 0-time Pro Bowler. Drake May, they then had to call him up, and Russell Wilson because Bo Nix couldn't go. They both accepted. They both now have the Pro Bowl next to their name, even though Bo Nix was more deserving, literally, not just by me, but like by how the alternates go.
Yeah.
Bo Nix was more deserving. So unfortunate. Pro Bowls are stupid. Unfortunately, they matter when it comes to like your Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
But we can call him a Pro Bowler.
Yeah. And it sucks that Quinn feels like he wants to earn it because he's an all-pro, so he earned it. Like the voters made a mistake.
Yep.
Just because they didn't know his name. But as far as like earning his Pro Bowl, he should have been there in front of other people. So
Yeah.
Totally.
He should have been there in front of the two Chiefs.
yeah.
And when the Chiefs couldn't go, he gave him the middle finger, which is kind of a baller move. Like, he's probably the biggest Chief hater of anybody on the team. He's the only guy who's like gone to the media. What do you say? Like, I didn't like their little dance they did with the spinner.
Yep.
He's had some of those, and he thinks he's better than them, and he's not going to go just because the Chiefs made the Super Bowl.
It's a
I
baller
like it.
move, but it
just doesn't matter long term.
Yeah,
no, it
so
does.
many
It does
things.
hurt
Really?
him long term.
No, I'm saying it matters
Yeah,
long term, and
it
there's so
does.
many things that they're not going to talk about once you're done playing.
Oh, of course, they're not
Oh,
going to
Like you're gonna say 9-time Pro Bowler, but they're not gonna say the first one though.
Yeah.
The Chiefs had 2 guards that both went to the Super Bowl, so that he was the alternate. Like that's not gonna be in the conversation.
How many
No.
Pro Bowls did Ryan Clady go to?
If I was making a Hall of Fame case for him, I would know.
But that's the thing is like,
I mean, do you know how
he'll
many?
still be remembered as Quinn Miners. Like everybody knows who. Like everybody remembers. Like when you get down on paper and you're typing up like, oh, he did this, he did this, he did this. It does make a difference.
But he might-
in
Yes.
terms of like what people think about him, it doesn't. Nobody would think back and say like, oh yeah, Ryan only made the 9 when he could have had, you know.
But if we're talking,
if you're talking about Hall of
Yeah.
Fame and
Yeah.
Ring of Fame
Yeah.
and Ring of Honor, like
and I
Ring
think
of Fame, Ring of like those are Broncos fans. They know.
No,
They know.
It all
no,
matters.
No, it
No, it
I
all
agree with
matters.
Todd. It all matters.
there's a
and,
lot of players in Broncos history that you know, but that don't have the All Pros or the Pro Bowls to make it in the Ring of Fame or the Ring of Honor, whatever we
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
So he could have just been one of those guys, but I think he's in a different category to where
Totally.
he's playing so well. Go ahead and get those extra, I guess, patches on your jacket so that when it's time for you to make your push to the Hall of Fame or make your push
Yeah.
to the Ring of Fame, like you have everything you need.
Yeah, when it comes to Hall of Fame, it could matter.
Yes.
But like again, when it comes to how Broncos fans remember Quinn Miners, which I think is something that means a lot to him, it doesn't matter at all. We'll all just remember Quinn Miners. In the
Yeah.
same way we all remember Ryan Clady, and again, we don't remember exactly how many Pro Bowls. We just remember he was really, really good for a long time, and we all loved him.
How many Pro Bowls did John Elway go to?
I don't know.
See, even you don't know
Exactly.
John Elway. No, that helps my case.
No, the
because
point- no,
when it
because
comes
it
to the
doesn't
Hall
matter.
of Fame, though, that does
When
matter.
it- yeah, exactly.
You don't know the number 1 Bronco. So, like,
Yeah.
from just a local conversation, yeah, it doesn't matter. But the
Yes.
Hall of Fame and how great he is,
Exactly.
it does. So, I guess we'll have to disagree. Agree to
No, it sounds
disagree
like we
with
do
that.
agree.
What? No, we don't. One thing we can definitely agree on is talking to our friends over at Every Plate. Every Plate. We can all agree on this, how good they are. Every Plate helps you dish up better habits with delicious, easy recipes delivered to your door, including Calorie Smart, Carb Smart, Protein Smart options. With their new Smart Swap recipes, you can swap flour tortillas for lettuce wraps, white rice for lettuce, sweet potatoes for potatoes, vice versa, to make your meals better, healthier, and exactly to your preference. I got these a couple weeks ago and really enjoyed it. I mean, they sent me, it was like a vegetable infused quesadilla with a great dipping sauce. It was delicious. It was easy. It was healthy because it was packed with veggies as well. And it took me 15 minutes. So they're all about convenience, shipping straight to your door, and making sure that it is delicious and fresh as well. And costs less than groceries, which is awesome. So if you want to set a wholesome habit this year, when you sign up for America's Best Value Meal Kit, get started with 50% off your first box and a month free at by using the code a month free at Planet Fitness with code DNVRPF at everymonth.com/podcast. That's Every Plate offer valid with auto-renewing subscription. Planet Fitness offer valid with $1 down due at Black Card membership sign up. Additional restrictions apply. See everyplate.com/podcast for details. That's 50% off your first box and 1 month free at Planet Fitness with the code DNVRPF at everyplate.com/podcast.
And shout out to Verizon. I know I'm always using my phone, all sorts of different stuff, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or calling or texting people. I don't know. Phones are just really important. And if you want to have a phone or, you just want to upgrade your phone, Verizon, best place to go get phones. They will give you $800 off if you switch. And the idea is that you might still have to pay off your previous phone from the previous company. They'll give you an $800 prepaid MasterCard that pays off your current smartphone loan when you switch. So if you're tired of your phone bill draining your bank account, if you wish that you could use that money for something more fun and exciting, Verizon feels your pain. And like I said, for a limited time, new customers can get up to $800 in prepaid MasterCard to pay off your smartphone loan when you make the switch. Just trade in any phone from our... Trade in any phone from our top brands with select unlimited plans. This deal won't last long, so don't get stuck on the beach. Bench. There we go. Switch to Verizon today and take control of your game plan. Visit your local Verizon store for details.
And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. All right, guys. We have an awesome new segment that we're going to bring to you from now through draft season and probably after. And we are joined by our draft expert, all-city draft expert, Fran Duffy. We talked to him earlier this week, and we want to bring this conversation to you. And a really cool thing about Fran is he is going to be joining us every single week, including twice this week. We'll catch up with him at the Super Bowl as well, and this guy knows absolutely everything. So without further ado, let's hear from our guy, Fran Duffy. All right, I'm so excited to welcome our all-city draft expert to the show for the first time, Fran Duffy. And Fran is doing everything. He covers the Eagles for PHLY. He's out in Mobile right now. He covered the Shrine game. He's covering the Senior Bowl, and he just dropped an incredible draft guide, the best draft guide that you are going to find out there. And we are so lucky to have Fran on this show in our network, and we're going to have Fran on our show every single week leading up to the draft. So without further ado, Fran, how are you doing today? And I mean, you've been traveling all over the country.
Yeah, it's a start of what's going to be a crazy stretch. Like you mentioned, I was in Dallas the last few days, and then we got Mobile until Friday. And then I'll head down to New Orleans on Sunday. So I'll go home for a couple of days, go down to New Orleans, and then the Combine, as you guys know, Zach and Henry, is just around the corner. So we'll be going back out to Indianapolis here in a few weeks.
That is insane. And then the entire time you're covering a Super Bowl team too. It's wild.
Yeah, it's been a crazy season, but I mean, you guys know, like it's the best kind of busy, right? When the team that you cover is this good, and so it's definitely going to be a fun few weeks. And but look, the draft is the thing that I'm so passionate about, and I'm so excited to be able to share that, not just with people that have been following my work for years, but also touching your guys' feeds as well, and getting to reach out to Broncos fans. I've been studying this team for a long time now, so I've got a pretty good beat on what they need and what the kinds of players that George Payton and Sean Payton like. Obviously, Sean Payton being with the Saints for so long in the NFC would match up with the Eagles often. And so I feel like I've got a beat on these guys. I'm excited to share some thoughts over the course of the next few months.
Yeah, Fran,
awesome.
I got to say,
I'm curious with you going on to all these destinations, what's the ranking? Is it Mobile better than Dallas, or Dallas better than Mobile?
Yeah, I prefer Mobile to Dallas for sure. I love coming here to Mobile every single year. It's it's football, it's food, the people are awesome. You get great talent. It's our last time that we get to see these guys like go through stuff on the field. Obviously, I'll go to the Super Bowl next week, but seeing these draft prospects on the field, like doing football things for the last time with pads on is great. I do love Indianapolis too, so I'd probably stack, if I were to stack those three, I think I would go Mobile, Indianapolis, then Dallas, but all three are great. So this is the best time of year.
Well, and I love that we're calling this the franchise mode. And you said you study not only the draft, but you study the teams in depth to what they like. And I think that's what every draft person has to do to be great. But Fran, you go at a level of in-depth that is insane. Like when we were having a conversation during one of our meetings for the draft, and it was just mentioned like, oh yeah, Fran kind of looks into teams, and you mentioned George Payton likes certain tight ends when they have this frame, and it's like, oh my gosh. So you are going to be an awesome resource for us. But like we said, you just got off a plane from the Shrine Bowl, and we're really going to focus on Broncos for the most part, but we do have a big audience that also likes the CU Buffs, and I feel like the Shrine game was all about CU down there. So maybe the only question we'll ask you about Shedeur Sanders during this time, but do you have him as your number one quarterback or Cam Ward? And is it really those two guys and then just a massive drop-off?
Yeah, I think it is definitely those two guys at the top for pretty much everybody. And we'll see how things play out over the next several weeks. Jalen Milroe from Alabama is a player that has certainly, the flashes with him have been outstanding. We'll see what he looks like down here at the Senior Bowl over the course of the week of practice. Right now, I do have Cam Ward as my first quarterback. I do have Shedeur as QB2. I do think that Shedeur can be an NFL starter, and so I'm not completely down on him. But I think when you look at both guys, like apples to apples, I just think that the traits are are a little bit there more consistently with Cam Ward from an arm talent standpoint and from a escapability standpoint, which I do think is important in today's game, what he can do with his legs. And I think with Shedeur, there are just some things that he's going to have to continue to work on. Both players have flaws, certainly. But I think with Cam Ward, I feel a little bit better at this point. I give him the nod.
I'm curious how you compare these quarterbacks to past quarterbacks, because I think the general consensus is that this draft class isn't as good as some of the others in terms of quarterbacks. Is that how you see it? How would these guys stack up against like last year's class, for example?
Yeah, I was talking about this actually over on the PHLY draft show last week. And I think that when you look at both of these guys, I honestly, and you guys will like to hear this, I had Bo Nix ahead of both where I have both of Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders right now. Like I liked Bo Nix a good deal coming out of the draft last year. Was high on him after his original senior season, not even just his super season. So after 2022, I had Bo Nix graded as a starter and thought that this is a guy. And if you had told me that after the 2021 season when he was at Auburn or after the 2020 season, I would have thought you were nuts. But I was really high on what he did and how he helped himself those last 2 years with the Ducks. And I think when you look at him and what projecting him forward to the NFL compared to how I view Shedeur and Cam now, I would have pretty comfortably had him ahead of that. And so to me, that would have put Shedeur and Cam at like QB5, QB6 last year. I think Michael Penix would have been right in that area just because of the injuries with him kind of knocked him a little bit for me in my personal rankings. But yeah, I would have had Bo Nix and the rest of that group well ahead of those guys.
Fran, you're going to be loved on this show by Broncos Country. Just by the way, you're talking about Bo. And so does that mean that if Bo would have had a super season, that you think that, I mean, he could legitimately have been the number one pick, especially for a team like Tennessee that needs a quarterback?
Yeah, if Bo Nix were in this draft, I would say like, yeah, he's QB1, and I would have said that comfortably. And I think that now that's where these conversations get weird, is that every year is different. Every draft class is different, right? And so very often, as I've been talking about this, not just publicly, but even with my peers in the media and when talking with scouts about this class, say, you talk about, oh, do you like this player? Well, in this class, yeah, I do think he's going to go. So yeah, I think in this class, Bo Nix probably would have been the number one pick, but I think we're going to be saying that a lot here this spring. It's just kind of couching it just because the talent is a little bit thin, not just at quarterback, but at the top. If you have like a top 10 pick in this draft, it's not the best place to be. There are some great like Travis Hunter would be a top 10 pick in any draft. After that, I think all these other guys, I think they've got some flaws that would probably knock them down in typical years. And in this year, I think you're just they all have to go. The picks all have to be made when the clock's hit zero. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
So for the Broncos picking at 20, then, if the top 10 guys aren't necessarily top 10 guys, what does that mean about the guys who will be there at pick 20?
Well, I think the way that this class pans out is that it starts to level off, where now this is typically what you expect to see. And I think when you get to like, it's a little early for me to put like a defined number on it, but when you get to like 15, 16, that's where you start to feel really good about like, all right, this is what you would typically see this kind of player going. And honestly, as I was going through my mock draft, and the way I do a mock draft, I don't like mix and match and play matchmaker and kind of like do it like a puzzle. I go pick by pick, right? Because that's how it's going to happen in the draft, right? And so as I got to the Broncos pick at 20, when I did my mock draft a couple of weeks ago, I felt really good about it. All right, the Broncos now, looking at who's available, you look at like, all right, like defensive tackle. I ended up going with Ashton Genty from Boise, but there's tight ends available. There was linebacker that I was kind of thinking about. There were a few positions where I'm like, okay, this would make sense here if they wanted to take another corner that high. You guys would also love it. Patrick Surtain was my number one player overall the year that he came out, by the way. I loved Surtain coming out. I was shocked that he was CB2 that year. But like looking at the Broncos depth chart, projecting them forward, looking at these needs, I think it plays really well for them being number 20. I think it's a really good spot for them to sit here in round one.
So, I mean, you knew that he was a defensive player of the year candidate when he was drafted. So you like Pat, you like Bo. Fran, let's just keep this train rolling here. Ashton Genty to the Broncos potentially. I mean, maybe one of the biggest names outside of like a quarterback or Travis Hunter in terms of names. What doesn't he have? Like, why would a team like the Dallas Cowboys at 12, and that's kind of like if he gets past them, then it's believed he could drop to the Broncos at 20. Well, why wouldn't he be a top 10, top 12 pick in this draft?
just because the Cowboys have kind of swung so far in the opposite direction when it comes to like how they valued that position. Obviously, it was not that long ago. It was 2017 or 2016 rather, when they took Ezekiel Elliott in the top 5 of the draft, and then they gave him a huge contract just a few years later, and then it blew up in their face. And then they go back all the way in the opposite direction, where all right, we're not going to put any assets and any resources into this position. And so since we're just 1 year removed from them basically saying like, yeah, we're not going to put any money into this position at all, I don't know that they're going to pivot back in that way and now spend the number 12 pick. Should they do it? Absolutely. The Dallas Cowboys absolutely should be in that position where they should take an Ashton Jeanty. And look, we'll see exactly who's on the board for them. But when I look at Ashton Jeanty and I say like, all right, projecting these guys forward, how are these guys going to stack up? I just got done telling you guys, I don't think there's a lot of blue chip talent in this draft. So I just think it's unlikely that there will be a better player overall than Ashton Jeanty when the Dallas Cowboys are picking at 12. But when I do a mock draft, I don't do it based off of what I would do. I do it based off what I think the team will do. And I just think that the Dallas Cowboys, as we sit here now, until things and evidence points the other way, I think that they're going to pass on Ashton Jeanty at number 12.
Interesting. I'm curious to see how that shakes out, because Ashton's obviously just a monster. Playing the Mountain West, which I know scares people away a little bit, because just because you can break tackles at that level doesn't necessarily mean you can break them at the Power 5 level and then the NFL. I'm curious, how do you sell Ashton Jeanty to somebody who might be concerned? And then also, like, how does he stack up against some of the other kind of generational type running back prospects we've seen? Your Saquon, your Zeke, Bijan recently. What do you expect from him in the NFL?
Yeah, I think that when you look at the way that Ashton Jeanty wins, essentially, like, well, what sets him apart? I mean, this is a juiced up athlete. He's got the ability to string together multiple moves with like explosive bursts and lateral cuts, and the ability to like put short displays of power all in one run, right? And so that's a really good display of athleticism for me. It's not necessarily like, oh, like, what's he going to run in the 40 or what's his 3-cone look like? But when you see like his ability to, again, make people miss like in succession that way, that I think really speaks to his athleticism. His balance is outstanding. There's no like metric that we've got from a timing testing standpoint to measure that. But I think when you look at Ashton Jeanty, his balance, his ability to play through contact, and also the way that he can impact the pass game, I don't think is talked about quite enough. This is a guy that has the ability to catch passes out of the backfield and not just like check downs and like underneath stuff in the screen game. But I saw him make some outstanding adjustments, even going back to his sophomore season in 2023, outstanding adjustments on the ball down the field. And so I think when you're looking at Ashton Jeanty, the only thing that could give you a little bit of pause is that, look, a lot of his production has come against some of the weaker defenses on the schedule. Certainly go back to 2023. That was the case. And then this year they go up against some bigger teams, and, the numbers weren't always there. Penn State in the playoff, that stands out to people. But number one, Penn State had a really good run defense over the course of the year. And if you're Penn State, you're going into the playoff game, like, you're going to sell out to stop the Heisman finalists. Like, that's the reality of the situation. And I think when you look at Ashton Jeanty and you project that forward, that skill set, I just struggled finding really, any huge flaws in his game. I mean, he had 4 fumbles in his career, or 4 fumbles this past year, I should say. It wasn't a huge issue for him. He did put the ball on the ground twice against Penn State. But to me, when I look at Jeanty and I compare him, Henry, like I said, to some of his contemporaries, guys that have come out in recent memory, and even when you throw in like a Jonathan Taylor, who I thought was underdrafted, when he was coming out of Wisconsin, a lot of these guys, I just look at he's on par with all of them. He's a little bit different. I don't have like a player comp that I feel great about yet with Jeanty, but again, when you look at all of the traits, all the positive qualities, this is a guy that I think can be that workhorse for an NFL team. And it looked, to me, the way I look at the lessons learned from Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs this past year, I think everybody's gonna be like, oh, the free agent market, that's where we got to go and we got to pay running backs. To me, it was more, these were 3 playoff quality teams that went and inserted that running back, plucked him and put him into their ecosystem and took off, and they had other things around them. I look at the Denver Broncos and say, okay, like, playoff roster, good offensive line, young quarterback, plug him in, and you're off and running. And now I think that makes Bo Nix better. I think it helps the defense out a little bit. To me, this one makes a whole lot of sense.
Man, Fran, this is just incredible. As you can tell, we could talk to you for 2 or 3 hours today to get your insight. And final one for you before we let you run here. I kind of mentioned the CU. It felt like a CU Pro Day down there in Dallas at the Shrine game. Any guys that we need to kind of keep our eyes on for maybe the Broncos? I mean, some wide receivers down there for the Buffs. LeJonte Wester, it looked like he made a couple of incredible plays. Jimmy Horn, anyone maybe with that local connection that we should keep our eyes on?
Yeah, I would say it's a good question. I would say LeJonte Wester probably had the best of the offensive players. He probably stood out the most. He had, man, it was a deep crosser that turned into a post. He cut it upfield, and it was a deep ball over the top. He made a great catch, looking it in over the shoulder. This is the first day of practice, and he had 1 foot out of bounds. It was like a foot out, in terms of just being a little bit too deep, but it was still an outstanding catch by Wester down the field. That was the throw from Minnesota quarterback Max Brosner, if memory serves. And so to me, that was probably one of the highlights of the week from the Buffs that were down there. Defensively, I mean, Shiloh Sanders had some moments. I think when you look at Silman Craig, he had some moments. I really like the way that kid competes. He was really physical throughout the course of the week. Shiloh was really physical as well. But I would say that Wester was probably the guy that stood out most to me from either side from Colorado.
Man, love it, Fran. Thank you so much. And man, you're going to help the Broncos franchise continue to get better here, and you're going to make us better on this show. We look forward to catching up with you later this week, talking about the Senior Bowl. Fran, thanks so much, and have a good week down there in Mobile.
Appreciate it, guys. We'll talk again soon.
All right, I'm so excited. Shout out to the franchise, Fran Duffy, for joining us. Let's talk about that, man. He said a couple of juicy things, and let's talk about it after I give a shout out to our friends over at It's our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 when you sign up over at Bet365. They're the official partner of the Denver Nuggets and Colorado Avalanche. And man, do we love Bet365 over here. They're all about the never ordinary. So, there's going to be some crazy bets for the Super Bowl that you can get in on. What are some crazy ones? Of course, the color of the Gatorade that's going to be poured on them. I believe that one's already up. They're probably going to have, I know they're going to have hundreds of different bets, if not even thousands of bets over at Bet365.
Proposing.
What?
Did you see the proposing one is popping up?
If a player proposes after the game?
Travis Kelce.
They did that last time, too.
Oh, he did say, I love you this time. After the AFC Championship game. I don't know if there's a bet
for that.
Maybe over at Bet365 you can get in on that. So proposing, length of the national anthem. So you can get all of that over at Bet365. And use that code DNVR365. You deposit $10, place a $5 bet, and you can get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you use that code DNVR365 over at Bet365. And of course, you must be 21 and older. 21 or older. Live in Colorado, located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, once help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And shout out to our friends over at Game Time. If you need help getting tickets to sporting events, concerts, comedy, theater, or more, you can check out our friends over at Game Time. They definitely will keep you covered. Great thing about Game Time is that you can get all-in pricing from the moment you enter the app. You can check it out right there. If you look on the screen, it'll tell you exactly how much you're going to pay at the end of your transaction, so you don't have to worry about going to your cart and then seeing a whole bunch of extra added fees like some of their competitors do. You know exactly what you're going to pay as soon as you see your ticket. And also you get to see, a panoramic view of your seat. You'll know exactly what you're going to be where you're going to be sitting, what the field is going to look like. You won't want to miss out on getting your tickets from Game Time. And they also have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will give you 110% of the difference. So go with Game Time. You save some money. Find somewhere cheaper, then you'll make some money. Shout out to our friends over at Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, low prices guaranteed.
What time is it?
Game time.
Boom. Thank you.
Nice.
Shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. And shout out to the Toyota chat, although they're getting a little feisty right now. So if you're in the Toyota chat, hit us with a thumbs up. It'll kind of knock off some of the feistiness that's in there. And it's feisty because some people are all over the place with our headline today. Bo Nix, quarterback 1 in this draft class, according to Fran Duffy. We have someone that says, well, of course he would be. What kind of headline is this? We have other people saying the draft's already happened. Bo Nix is already drafted. Why are you talking about this? I thought Broncos Country would love this news, because essentially, and what Fran said was, Bo Nix would be the number 1 overall pick to the Tennessee Titans if he was able to have a super season, and that he is better than Shedeur Sanders. He is better than Cam Ward. And by the way, we have a mock draft up on our website from Fran. If you want to check it out, go to thednvr.com. Plus, he has this whole draft guide up there, which is just an incredible resource. I use it. It's so good of a resource. He has Cam Ward going number 1 overall to the Titans. So Bo Nix would be going number 1 overall in this draft. For all the shit the Broncos got for taking the 6th quarterback in the first round, taking the 6th quarterback with the top 12 pick in the draft is nothing compared to he would have been the number 1 pick this year. I thought that was an awesome sign of respect for Bo.
I mean, yeah, Bo had an awesome season, and I think that I want to see like where he had Bo ranked last year.
He said last year this is where he would have had him a year ago.
As the number 1 pick?
Well, he said
so.
No, in his draft that he came out.
So
in the draft he came out of? No, he wasn't number 1.
Oh, okay.
So I think what he said was...
Oh, I see what you're saying. You want to see where he had Bo last year.
Yes.
Okay,
I think what he said was he'd probably have these guys 5 and 6 last year, which would mean that he probably would have had Bo 4.
That's, yeah.
So there'd be 2 others.
Yeah.
So in front, maybe Penix and JJ?
He kind of mentioned those two, yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. I mean, we all kind of knew this because, and this is just a terrible draft class. Last year was a really good draft class. I think Cam Ward, I'd be curious to see where exactly he falls, just because he does have some of the traits. Like, you give him a clean pocket, let him work back there. It seems like good things tend to happen. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if these guys had come out last year, if they were the 7th and 8th quarterbacks picked. And honestly, even if Rattler was kind of closer to them than they were to the other, but I'm not a huge fan of this draft class, and it's part of the reason people said last year, like, sure, he's 6th, but you got to take a quarterback this year because there are no quarterbacks next year.
Mm-hmm.
But Cam Ward is the one where it's like, okay, maybe he might actually be a pretty good prospect.
Oh, you're not a Shedeur fan?
I'm not a Shedeur fan. It's not like if push came to shove and you had to like give it a run. But I think the sacks that he takes are just really concerning, and the way he holds on the ball is really concerning. You look at, like, it reminds you a lot of Caleb Williams and some of the things that went wrong there. And on top of that, he did just have some kind of really bad interceptions. Ones where you're just like, there's 2 guys there. What were you thinking? And there are also plays where it's like, oh, Travis Hunter just jumped up over 3 guys and batted this ball away. Probably should have been picked. I think. Well, I'm really high on Colorado's receivers. Uh-huh. I think all of them should be very highly rated prospects. When I look at Shedeur, there's a little bit of like the Kenny Pickett, like, yes, you had Jordan Addison, the best receiver in the country, and so your numbers were really good. And I think, you even look at like a Carson Beck, who last year had Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey. It's like, oh, this guy's awesome. Take those guys away, not so awesome. And I think Shedeur, I just have some concerns with him, and that's why if he came out last year, he wouldn't have been in front of Bo Nix.
I think Shedeur has, man, I feel like last year during this time, people were saying Shedeur was clearly the number 1 overall pick in this draft. People were saying Cam Ward was like a third or 4th round pick.
What were they saying about Bo a year before?
Right, exactly. So I think that the draft is it's Cam and Shedeur have evened themselves out. Cam shot up the boards. Yeah. I do think Shedeur has clearly fallen a little bit from being that clear number 1 overall pick. But still, at this point last year, I don't think people would have said Bo was the number 1 pick in this year's draft. Mm-hmm. I think it's maybe a credit to how the quarterback struggled this year in this past college season, and clearly Bo's had a phenomenal rookie season as well, and was a good prospect coming out. He was still a top 12 pick, so I thought that was very interesting from Fran, and personally, love to hear it, because to get from 20 where the Broncos are, and obviously they wouldn't be picking 20 if they didn't have Bo, but let's say they wanted to get Bo, you'd be trading 3 first-round picks to get from 20 to number 1, and heck, even then it might not be enough to convince a team to move on from the number 1 quarterback in the draft. So Broncos nailed that draft pick even more, especially with hindsight being 2020. Continuing the quarterback conversation, he said he has Cam Ward as his number 1 quarterback. Henry, it seems like you agree with that.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of him either. I think part of it is I'm an FCS fan, so I remember Incarnate Word, and then he goes to Washington State. As a Pac-12 fan, I remember him there. But again, I held some of those things against Bo last year because I remembered him at Auburn and thinking like, yeah, I'm not not really sure. And Cam is younger. You see some of the traits. He's not the biggest guy, but he'll put the ball where it needs to be. He has kind of a weird throwing motion. Maybe not more power than the touch passes, which I kind of wonder about. I think he also had some pretty good weapons. So I'm not a huge fan, but you could see the vision there.
Do you agree? Do you think Shedeur your QB1?
Yeah. Have you started studying on the quarterback? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been took a deep dive into the 2 quarterbacks. No, but I think Shedeur is quarterback 1. I think he's done a good job of being the most NFL ready. I know he holds onto the ball at times, but I think that's something that's coachable. But as far as like the style of offense that he was running, the playbook, the offensive line that he was behind, I think he did a good job, and I think that he performed just as good as he did the year before. So I would still put him as number 1. I think Cam Ward had a good year, but ultimately, if I'm going to go for consistency, I probably would put Shedeur's 2 years versus Cam's 1 year and have him ranked a little bit higher.
That's very fair. That's very fair. Let's dive into some of the Broncos-specific things he said after we talk about our friends over at Shady Rays. Fellas, have you looked at the weather for New Orleans next week? Sunny and 70. That is perfect weather for a Super Bowl. It's perfect weather to have Shady Rays. Make sure you pack them. I was putting my packing list together yesterday. Made sure my Shady Rays were on there. And whatever type of sunglasses you want, Shady Rays needs to be on your list, including ski goggles. If you're going to hit the slopes this year, check out our friends over at shadyrays.com. The awesome thing about Shady Rays, they have hundreds of pairs of polarized sunglasses. They also are already pretty much the most affordably priced sunglasses that you're going to find. You look at competitors' prices, and they are literally 3, 4, 5 times more, wildly into the hundreds of dollars of range. Shady Rays is so far from that. They're affordable. They're great quality. They look good. And on top of the affordable price, if you use the code DNVR over at shadyrays.com, you're going to get 35% off their already affordable sunglasses. So check them out, shadyrays.com. Use that code DNVR for 35% off their already well-priced sunglasses. Over 300,000 people have given them a 5-star review. We all give them a 5-star review. People give them a 5-star review as well. Shadyrays.com, code DNVR.
Also, if you want to watch more of us, you don't just have to stream us because we are on your TVs. So if you have a Samsung, just plug in channel 2348. Easy to remember. It's Chris Sims, Russell Wilson, Brett Rippon. Oh, no, it's Chris Sims, Brett Rippon, Jarrett Stidham.
Wow.
That's how you can remember 2348.
That's so easy.
Xfinity, yes.
Just rolls off the tongue.
Nobody will ever forget that.
Chris Sims, Russell Wilson, Jarrett Stidham.
Exactly, it's perfect. If you want to watch us on Xfinity, then it's the old Justin Sternad, Garrett Bowles.
Justin Sternad.
40.
Yep.
4072.
Wow. Yeah, there you go. Also, it doesn't look like there's a number on Zumo Play or Chumo Play, depending on how you pronounce it. But you can also go over there and we'll be there. Wherever you want to go, all sorts of new platforms coming soon. And if you're watching us on your TV, we want to see it. Or if you happen to be somewhere where they're playing it, send your pictures on social media. Also tag us or email them to inthewild@thednvr.com. We'll be featuring them, picking some lucky winners for prizes. So send those along.
We're going to play a little game really quick. Shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365. Did you guys ever play Heads Up, 7 Up?
Yeah.
Yes, great
school?
game.
Where they'd say phones down, thumbs up? Or heads down,
I-
thumbs up. Yeah,
I
not
was in
phones down.
second grade,
Yeah,
yeah.
me too. So we're going to do phones down, Henry computer.
Wait.
Phones down. You can't cheat.
Oh.
So close your laptop. Phones down, brains up. Let's see how good you guys check Slack.
Oh.
Whose TV were we featured on in Slack this morning?
Spencer's.
Oh, look at that. You check Slack, but actually not Spencer's TV. No, that's incorrect. It's close. Spencer sent the message. We were on Spencer's gym this morning, which is pretty cool. So shout out to whatever gym Spencer goes
Shout out
to.
Spencer's gym.
And puts us on the TV, probably through Samsung.
Might be watching right now.
Yeah, might be watching
If
right
you're
now.
watching us from Spencer's gym, say hi to Spencer for us
And
next
then-
time he's in there.
Yeah, say hi to the TV too, because we're on it. That's saying
Wave
hi to
back,
us.
yeah.
Okay, so a couple of other things. One of the things that Fran mentioned that I hadn't heard before until now, and it's kind of along what we were saying about the quarterbacks being weaker. He pretty much said the top of the draft class is weaker this year, so it's not a good time to have a top 5, top 10 pick. Good news, because the Broncos typically have had top 5, top 10 picks over the last decade, and it seems like this is a great year to not have one of those. He said it's like right around pick, what do you say, 12 to 15 is when you feel good about the players that you're picking. Anywhere else outside of drafting Travis Hunter in the top 10, you feel like you're kind of reaching there. So Broncos being at 20, man, everything starts lining up. They don't need a quarterback this year in the draft, and thank goodness they don't. They're not picking in the top 5, top 10, so it's not a wasted top 5, top 10 pick. And being at 20 just seems like a sweet spot in this draft.
I mean, just exactly how we planned it.
Yeah.
This has been like a 2 or 3 year plan. Just
B20.
everything's falling into place, you know?
Yep.
We knew who was in the draft. We knew we didn't want any of these guys in the top 19. So we're like, all right, 20.
Yeah.
Good point.
That's what they were
Exactly
saying in the
where we're gonna
building
be.
in the fall.
I'm not
It's like
saying
we're this
I
close.
I cannot talk about any conversations I've had.
Step
in
8
the
to 10,
building,
just got
but,
finished
you
this
know
thing
what I'm
out.
saying?
Yeah.
A couple more steps and the plan will be all ready to go.
For next
Yeah.
year's draft, are they saying that the best pick to have is 32?
Can't tell you, man. I
Oh,
can't disclose
okay.
that
They're
information.
hiding
It
that
was
one
all
if they're
about pick
chasing the
20.
Super Bowl.
Yeah,
They're hiding that. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me again. It's very early. There's like kind of again that wide range where it's like, could this guy be the 15th pick? Could this guy be a second rounder? Like it's all kind of right there. Because I mean, where you're picking, you're probably not getting like Tyler Warren's probably off the board. Again, maybe this is just like the high point of his hype. Like Ashton Genty's probably not on the board. Remember like a month ago, or maybe even less, when I said, you know, there's going to come a time where we're going to talk about like Ashton Genty. He might be there for the Broncos. And at the time it was crazy, but it feels like we've kind of hit that bubble and it's probably going to end here pretty soon. So the real like immediate game changers probably aren't there. And what you want is just to have patched up all your needs so that you can take the best player available when you get to this point. Because to me, it doesn't seem like there's anybody you're like, this will fill our tight end need, because again, like Tyler Warren's probably gone.
And you're right. You can't, especially being at 20, you can't say like we're just not going to address tight end or running back in free agency because we're going to get it in the first round, because you don't know. But in Fran's mock draft, he does have Ashton Genty falling to 20. And
That's
he said
that bubble.
It's not a wish thing. He said that's just how he sees the draft unfolding right now.
That's how, and again, like a month ago, you would have said, oh, that's crazy. But then there's all these ebbs and flows in the draft. And now we're in the like, is Ashton Genty really not a generational running back? But I have a feeling that within like 2 weeks, those mock drafts it's going to be like, yeah, he's going to the Cowboys or somewhere even higher.
It seems like if he gets to the Cowboys and the Cowboys don't draft him, though, he has a clear path to fall to the Broncos at 20.
I can't remember who's in between. That's like the one team everybody circled, but off the top of my head, I don't know.
I find it fascinating that he has Jerry Jones doing the opposite of Dak. Like he went, or Zeke. He went all in on Zeke, top 5 pick, and now, even though they clearly desperately need a running back, and that's why a lot of people have them going running back, he has Jerry Jones saying, no, we're not going to do that. We did it once and didn't win a Super Bowl.
But it worked.
It
I mean,
did.
he didn't win a Super Bowl, but
He was great.
he was a good running back. He had a good offensive line. You guys had some good years. Some years where you probably should have won a Super Bowl if a couple people played better. But I think ultimately Ezekiel Elliott wasn't a bad pick for the Cowboys.
No.
But if they don't win Genty, we'll
The
take him.
contract eventually was a bad move.
Yeah.
But that was not a
That
problem
was
with the
the
pick.
second. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. After the Cowboys, it's the Dolphins who, like, they have Achane, but
They don't need a running back.
you
And
don't need
Mostert.
one. And Mostert, we still like Mostert. I haven't looked at those numbers.
I mean, the combo of those two guys still has to
Okay.
be good, right?
I just
Cardinals,
Yeah.
they just signed James
Mostert-
Cook to a big deal, too.
Connor.
An extent, James Connor, yeah, thank you.
But
Yeah.
I think you could still fit a second running back in. Like it's so rare you have a running back take more than like 60% of the carries. Also, Mostert.
No, he's taking more than 60%
I
of the
think-
carries.
I-
That's why
Yeah.
you're drafting him.
I agree with you,
I
Henry,
think
that
Genty
most
eventually.
running back, most
Genty.
running back rooms you need 2 or 3, and most of them are bell cows, but there are a couple of guys that are bell cows, and I think Genty's one of them.
Yeah, he should be. With the
Yeah,
numbers he
he
put
should
up
be.
and what he did in college this last year, like, you don't put up those numbers and have that good of a year to come and split carries with somebody. Like, he did everything you needed to do to be a high draft pick and to be, I mean, you're talking about him as a generational talent.
Mm-hmm.
There's no generational talent that does like 50-50. Saquon's backup gets a couple carries. Derrick Henry gets a couple carries, but we know who we want in the game.
I mean, Bijan, though, is a rookie, played every game, 214 carries. Tyler Algier, 186. Like, I think it is more common. I think just about every team uses 2 running backs. Again, but the more obvious ones probably like
maybe
Cincinnati.
Maybe in the rookie season,
yeah,
if you want to say
and
that.
ticks up a bit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but then like Cincinnati, imagine Genty in that offense where they haven't been able to run the ball at all. Like that would open things up.
You have to go defense if you're Cincinnati. You have to.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see what they do in free agency.
Your awful defense was what made you miss the playoffs. It had nothing to do with your offense.
Yeah, but again, like, what if they go out there and sign DJ Reed and they sign whoever, like, you know,
DJ Jones? They just get all
they
the
could
DJs.
they could double DJ. Yeah, who
Double
knows?
DJ?
Maybe Zach.
Whoa, that'd be
I guess they
crazy.
already have the linebackers, but yeah, we'll see. Teams drafting for need is almost a bad idea, and that's why so few teams actually do it. You know,
a lot of teams do it.
you think so?
For sure.
I don't know.
You said
Like
drafting for need is what?
It's a bad idea. Like you just go out there and
So
get
you
the best
draft
player.
what you don't need?
But in theory, you try not to need all that much so that you can just go get
That's not
the best player.
I don't think that's reality.
Yeah.
Last year we needed
think
a
good
quarterback
teams-
and we went and got a quarterback. We drafted for need.
What about Shane Ray? Again, like there's an example. Like you have DeMarcus, you have Vaughn.
It doesn't happen all the time.
But
No.
you're saying that you're saying that drafting for need is a bad thing.
Yeah.
But we did, at the time, love Shane Ray, but at the time we didn't need Shane Ray and
Exactly.
we drafted him.
So
So we
you-
should have drafted for need if that's your argument.
Oh no, I'm saying like that was an example of teams not drafting for need.
So you should draft for need.
No, I think that was again, that's an example. Like that's what you do. You get the best player. And if not, you're pigeonholing yourself. Like sometimes it's a little different. If you have the 7th pick and there are 4 good tackles, then sure, don't sign a tackle in free agency because you can plan on using that pick. But when it gets into like the teens, you're kind of, if you're stuck there saying we need a cornerback and we're going to take cornerback no matter what, that's how you wind up.
So Washington, you guys were done for taking Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
Chargers, you were done for taking Joe
Let's
Alt.
throw
You guys should have
quarterbacks
went
out.
and
Like,
got
quarterbacks are
somebody you
different.
didn't need. You should have went and got a
They
quarterback.
already had a
Chargers, what are you doing?
Oh my goodness.
Golly.
Michael Penix is on the board.
Yeah. Why did they do that?
I think also one of the things that Fran was saying, and man, this just makes it even juicier. He's Saquon Barkley. In
that's
terms
crazy.
of his ability to run the ball, but then also catch out of the backfield. Saquon, his rookie season, ran for 1,300 yards, 11 touchdowns, but he also had 91 catches for 720 yards. He had 2,000 yards from scrimmage as a rookie. Who knows if Genty's going to have that production? I mean, that was the most yards from scrimmage of anyone in the NFL, so it's hard to put those expectations on a guy, but he is a guy that can do it from out of the backfield as well, which just makes him so much more valuable, which, to your point, Henry, maybe just shows that he won't make it to 20, but if he does, man, that would be really, really good. Any final thoughts before we hit a super chat?
Nope.
Nope. We're going to be diving into mock draft stuff more tomorrow, too, so
More and more.
plenty of that to come. And Steven Renfrew hits us with a super chat, says, are you guys doing a road trip game next season? If so, what fixture stands out?
Must be British.
I turned 30 this year, so couldn't think of a better way to celebrate. How is fixture?
I feel like that's what they always say about soccer.
Is that a
They're
game?
fixtures, yes.
Oh, so which fixture stands out to you guys? We know the Broncos away games. Of course, the AFC West, Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders. Then they're going down to Houston, Indianapolis, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and New York, New Jersey. Which
Hurston.
fixture? Hurston?
Houston, for sure. We can go down to Houston because, yeah. Get some
Yeah.
good food, have a good time.
Houston's
That's
a good
just my-
place to go.
What?
I mean,
Never heard anything about Houston.
You never heard anything about Houston?
No.
Well.
Why is it good?
Just everything. Food.
Really? Okay.
Entertainment, have a good time.
Wow.
Yeah, survive.
I like
also,
something to do all the time.
those
Okay.
NFC East cities aren't good. Like, I feel like you can't bring a group of Broncos fans to a Philadelphia game. That's just how you get
wouldn't.
everybody beat up.
Have you seen
know?
what's happened recently? The Commanders fans?
No.
Oh yeah, Commanders fans were like getting torched on their way out.
Like, literally?
I don't know about actual torch,
Oh, that's
but
good. But yeah,
Yeah, and
I
like
think New
beaten
York
up.
is a sneaky bad road trip game.
No, MetLife's terrible. I hate MetLife.
And like it also is like it's too big of a city. So like when we have like our events,
You're not even in the city. You're so far away
I'd
from
imagine
the
we'd
city.
stay in the city though.
It sucks.
if we're there for 3 days.
I love Manhattan. I hate it, MetLife. Everything about it.
Oh yeah, stadium's bad.
Also, maybe the one, Steven, especially you hit us with a pound, I think. Is that a British pound? That Jets game might not even be in New York. It might be in London.
that'd be the one.
And if so, that's the one. So, Steven, you don't even have to plan a big trip out to America. Maybe we'll be coming to you. We're going to be coming to you tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast, 11 a.m. No laughing, you hear. We will see you guys tomorrow. Guys and gals, 11 a.m. tomorrow, DNVR Broncos podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.